Okay, so this is not going to be a spec or tech review video of this camera, the Sony ZV-E1. This is an honest conversation of what it's been like to have this camera from a complete beginner's perspective as my very first camera into film and video. I would like to share my experiences with this, as I feel like YouTube is more so filled with videos that tell us about what the camera can do, tell us about its color profiles, tell us about how amazing it is in spec, but we don't often hear a lot about people's experiences as using it unless they've been sent the product or they're getting some kind of kickback from it. And I just find that across YouTube, especially as a beginner, it's very difficult to navigate through the bullcrap. It's very difficult to know, is this guy really saying this because it's good, or is he just saying it because he's got an affiliate link, or is he just saying it because, he's always been a long time user of this company or this brand? And so, yes, YouTube is full of many fanboys, it's full of many shillers, but today I would just like to go through my honest opinion about what I feel about this camera. And I guess the biggest question is, if I could go back, would I buy this again? But before I actually committed to buying it, I really did spend an embarrassing amount of time looking on YouTube endlessly and just reading things, watching things, trying to learn as much as I could about all these cameras that were in a similar profile to this. One of the biggest ones was the Lumix S9 for the obvious reasons. It's very similar to this and in what it has to offer as well. But I was so confused on what to buy because I just kept hearing so many contradictory arguments and statements about both of those cameras. And in the end, I just ended up going with my gut, which is to buy this bad boy right here. Really, the only reason that I did it was because the low light performance really intrigued me. I wanted to start doing a lot of nighttime filming. And the other thing that really got me was the autofocus, because I knew that I was going to be solo filming most of the time. I wanted to be out filming myself, doing things, or I was doing YouTube stuff. And I didn't want to have that fear of my autofocus not really locking in or not really finding me, or just having to spend 10 minutes trying to lock in on something as opposed to 30 seconds. So I guess in the end, that were probably the main reasons I ended up choosing this camera, other than, I don't know if this is like provable, but everything I saw someone shoot with this sensor in particular, or an FX3 or something like that, it just looked awesome. And I don't know if I really have a good explanation for that, other than it just looked better. And I went with my gut and I bought this. So let's get the big one out of the way first. Would I buy it again? The short answer is yes, I definitely would. Mostly because I don't feel like I'm even close yet. I mean, it's only been 3 months, but I still don't even believe I'm anywhere near close enough to be able to fully maximize this camera's potential yet. It's not to say that it's without its issues, but what camera isn't? And that's just something to keep in mind, is that you're never going to find the perfect camera. And it's very easy to listen to people's opinions and their experiences with things like this and go like, oh, like all this was good, but that one thing was terrible and I can't deal with that. I need a camera that's going to be able to do everything. But guess what? That doesn't exist. It actually does not exist. And there's a reason why it doesn't exist. Because if we had the perfect camera, no one would be buying anything else. There's a reason why companies offer so many different styles and variations of things, because we all require different types of media. We all require different needs. I think the biggest thing to determine is not what the best camera is, or not what this camera is necessarily capable of. The decision you should be making is, does this camera suit me? Is this camera going to allow me to do the things that I want to do? And not only that, is it going to be available for me to learn more? Is it going to have the capacity for me to expand into doing other things and be a little bit more adventurous with it instead of just literally point and shoot? Now, is it beginner friendly? Yes, I definitely think it is, but that doesn't mean that you can just pull it out, open it up, turn it on straight away, and you can figure everything out within 5 minutes. Going through the menu systems, learning to understand all of its little functions and just where everything is, knowing where to find things fast, is not necessarily easy on this system. Although I can't really compare to other systems because I've only had this guy. But I have to say, initially it was a little bit like, oh, where is everything? But like everything else, I mean, you buy a new phone or you buy a new computer or something that's got different software, it takes you a little while to understand it. And it can be frustrating when you're looking for something and you feel like you should know where it is, or something's happening, you got to get it now, but you've got to go in and change this. And it's not the camera and it's not the menu system, it's just the user needing to catch up to learning how to use it. As I said, it's like anything. You just have to spend time with it and get good at it. But I have heard a lot of people complain about how annoying the Sony menus are after switching to other cameras. But to be honest, now that I know my way around it and I've spent enough time with it, like I've literally used this thing every day for the last 50 days. Quite literally every single day. So I feel like I've been able to get pretty well equipped with it and just know where everything is just by the repetition of constantly using it and challenging myself to get new and different types of stuff. I'm going to say the most impressive thing I've found with this camera, aside from how small it is and how easy it is to carry around and take around, that is a big one. Okay, I have this cage on here right now, this Niwa cage, but like this makes it easier for me to use because it gives it a little bit more breadth. I've spoken about that in previous videos before. It gives me something to use, you know. But if you have this by itself, I mean, you can literally virtually take this anywhere. It's super convenient in that way. But the best thing that I've found with this camera, maybe it's this sensor in particular, but it's that 12,800 ISO, man. Like, I did not realize how often I would be using that. Now, one of the main reasons for using the 12,800 ISO is because quite often I have a variable ND filter living on the front of my lens virtually 24/7. Now, the reason for that is I find it so much easier to have that sitting on there. I can change my exposure on the go very fast, especially if I want to keep at a certain f-stop, say if I'm trying to shoot something with a very shallow depth of field. But because of this ND filter, there is always constantly at least one stop of light being taken out from the lens. So sometimes you just don't quite have enough light, or I might be in my studio at home and I mean, there's not a lot of ambient light in that room quite often when I'm in there to shoot. And I'll just always find myself just a little bit underexposed, you know, even without the ND filter on. A lot of beginners, like if we've got lighting, we don't typically have a big lighting setup. We don't typically have a lot of equipment to be able to just easily go, yep, this, and we just fill this light in here and we'll bounce some light off here. We don't really have that. And I've honestly found the 12,800 ISO to be, I would say, the standout feature for me thus far with my experience in this. Because it literally has gotten me out of quite a lot of situations, and not just situations where it's just a little bit dark. You know, I can go out at night somewhere and film under a street lamp, or I can sit in front of my shed just with one little light shining on me or something. So, you know, you just don't think that you would be able to get that footage, but you can. I don't know how and I don't know why, but it's awesome. So if that's something you feel is going to be important to you, the higher ISO rate, this is something I'd definitely look at getting. So the ISO is awesome. I was also hell-bent on needing to get a full frame camera. I mean, like, that was just kind of a non-negotiable for me. I'm not sure if that's something that is a complete necessity as a beginner. I don't know if it would have changed the way that I use the camera. I don't know if it necessarily changed some of the shots, but I'm still very glad that I ended up getting full frame and not the crop sensor. I feel that long term, this would be more beneficial, even though there's some awesome things out there on offer that do have the crop sensor. And I'm not saying that they're not going to be good, because those cameras are better in different ways. And as I mentioned before, we're never going to find the perfect camera. Sometimes you just have to make a decision between one thing or the other. For me, I really wanted full frame. I also want to start using anamorphic lenses one day, someday, soon, hopefully. And so full frame was just something that got me all excited. A few other little things I'll just quickly run through. The microphone at the top here, I mean, I've been asked quite a bit about this, and if I use that, the answer is no. The only time I actually ever use this is, like, say if I'm out filming B-roll somewhere and I definitely want to make sure I record the audio around it, I'll have that in. It doesn't come out very loud. I feel like the microphone isn't that sensitive. And to be honest, I don't think that it needs to be a feature on here, although it is handy to have, especially with things around the beach or things where there's nature and birds around, or sometimes you want to have a car, you know, you want to hear the car drive past or something. But to be honest, if you really wanted to, it's easy enough to just to add those sounds in post. So it's not like a necessity. If this was going to be a selling point, I would expect it to be much more capable than what it is, but I've not used it. I mean, I tried to use it once for a video, but it was terrible. So I didn't use it. It's not something that I was really like desperate to have when I bought this camera. So whatever. Everyone knows that Sony's got great autofocus, and I'm sure that many other brands have good autofocus as well. The only time I have issues with this is, I think, just because of my lenses. I'm not using native Sony glass. I mean, I've got these Samyang VAF lenses. And for the most part, they're pretty good, but there's just sometimes it gets a little bit confused and it hunts. And that can be frustrating. But to be honest, I have not tried Sony glass on this yet. But my experience with the autofocus, even with third-party lenses and lenses that they're not renowned to be, you know, super focusy or super sharp, they're super adaptive. It's been really good. I don't really have anything to complain about. Now, it's stabilization. Okay, this is something that really got me when I very first used the camera. I was like, oh, it's got the active stabilization and I can do this and I should be able to move and it, you know, it'll keep everything nice and smooth and whatever. Yeah, no, it doesn't. I mean, as far as stabilization goes, I don't think it's that great, but to be honest, these days, I don't really hold the camera to film as much. It's more on a tripod or on a stick and I'm holding it, moving it around or just sitting it somewhere. It's not often getting moved around, but when it does, when I am moving it around and when I am having to like control myself, I have to say I'm not really mad about it being terrible. I shouldn't use that word. It's not terrible. It is still pretty good, but it's not great. The reason I say I'm not disappointed with it is because it's making me, as a beginner, have more of a conscious awareness of how I'm moving through the space with the camera. And it makes me use my body better. It makes me use my footwork better. And I just think they're things that can be lost. Their skills can either be lost or not developed at all from a beginner's perspective, just because we've got equipment that can completely nullify all these little mistakes that we make. So if anything, you know, I was a little bit disappointed at the start, to be honest. I remember when I very first did a review on this, almost in the same spot, just over there. When I did that first review, I was pretty disappointed in the stabilization, but I have to say now, I'm grateful for the way that it is. But if you feel like you definitely need stabilization, I would consider looking for something else or get yourself a little gimbal to use with this. You know, I think the Scorp Mini looks good. You could probably get like an old Ronin or something like that. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But if stabilization is something that you need and you're going to rely on and you don't have a gimbal or you don't have anything that's going to help with that, this might be worth reconsidering your buy, only because you might be super disappointed with it. It works really well in a lot of other areas, but if you need the stabilization and you need it, then maybe consider something else. As far as the footage itself, as I said, I love the image of this. I'm really happy with its color profile. I'm actually pretty happy with the S-Log these days. That was a whole thing in itself to have to get used to that and learn how to film with that and expose to that. I guess, you know, people do have some issues with S-Log, especially with getting skin tones. I'm not that experienced when it comes to the grading and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, like it can be hard to try and monitor that. I do feel that sometimes it moves and does lean towards more of a magenta shift. But then I hear people say that Lumix leans to more green, and trying to correct either of those colors isn't necessarily that easy, I don't think, in color grading. So pick your poison with those. But to me, I'm really impressed with the image that comes with this, and I don't feel like it's hard. Once I fully understood where I should be exposing things and learning things like my histogram, I think it's been fine. And I do not have one single issue with the quality of image that I have coming from this. In fact, I think it's amazing. Now, the last thing I just want to quickly bring up is the one thing that everybody bashes this camera for, and it was, you know, actually when I really think about it, probably the thing that I was most apprehensive about when wanting to buy this was, does this thing overheat? Yes, it does. But I have to say, if this is being used to turn on, shoot for 5-10 minutes, turn off, walk somewhere, turn it on, shoot for a minute, turn it off, blah, 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 you will never have an issue. I mean, even if it's extremely hot, you're probably not going to have an issue unless you're being silly with it. But for me as a beginner, sometimes it takes a long time to set up a shot. The only time it is overheated, which has been 2 times, has both been in the studio, both where it's taken me, say, 20 minutes to get everything set up. And then I've been filming for, say, 20 to 35 minutes because I just keep stuffing up what I'm saying or something silly happens. But it does often get very hot. So I am pretty cautious with that, and it's not something that I push. I just have this little, I don't like the thought of this getting hot all the time. I just have this like thing about it messing the sensor up or stuffing up my memory card or something like that. So I want to try and keep it as cool as possible, as often as possible. So who is this camera for, and is it worth the money? I definitely think it is for beginners, because I don't think that there's too many people that are very experienced typing in Sony ZV-E1, you know, spec comparing and doing all these kind of things when they probably already have a camera that is maybe more advanced than this in some ways, or they'll be looking for a camera that's more advanced than this. As a beginner, I am very glad that I purchased this. But in saying that, if I'd have purchased the S9 or something else, I dare say I would have been very happy with that too. I don't think that it's been the camera that has made me excited to go out and film. It's not the camera that's forced me to get better shots or to improve myself. It's been the fact that I wasn't that good when I started. And as much as I would like to admit that the camera is doing a lot of the work, I mean, all it's doing is it's just a window to capture and see something. It's not going to make you good at what you do, and it's not going to help you see something that someone else hasn't seen, and it's not going to help you tell a story, and it's not going to help you find things to film. That's where the challenges are as a beginner. I think outside of choosing the system that you're going to get set up with, the hardest thing is learning how to convey and communicate what you want through the tool. As awesome as the camera is, as amazing as it is, and is it price friendly? That's up for debate. I got this at a good price. It was secondhand. I probably wouldn't buy this brand new now. I'm just going to be honest. But as a beginner, there is no reason why you would be disappointed with this camera. So very quickly, all in all, I do highly recommend this camera, but then I recommend pretty much any camera if you're going out to start your filming journey. I would say stop waiting. I would say stop comparing this to this and doing this to this, because it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you any closer to filming. It's only going to cloud your mind, cloud your judgment, and stop you from going out and doing the things that you want to do, which is film or learn to film or take cool, fun shit or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, my advice is make your decision, stick to it, love it. Don't watch another gear review video again, and just get to learn the camera and learn it well and enjoy it. And so I know this video might not be exactly what people want, but our experience with things far outweighs the technicalities of things, because sometimes that stuff just doesn't really matter. It's how you're able to use it, and if you're actually able to use it. There's no point getting like a Venice or something like that when you don't really know what to do with it, and you don't really know how to use it, or you don't really know where to point it. You don't even know what it does. You don't even know what stories it tells, so I just think it's about being wise, and I think it's about being true to yourself and understanding what you want to do and just go for it. So I hope this has helped somebody at least who's been stuck in making a decision, actually trying to get this camera or another camera. I don't care which one you get. I just think you should get it. And I think you should join me in filming and enjoy yourself. All right. I have definitely waffled on long enough. So until next time, catch.